Hi everyone, here to make another video about kind of simplification and minimalism or whatever. And so today I'm going to talk about technology and phones. And this isn't a kind of like I have the solution kind of video. I'm just going to talk about what I've done to try and simplify my life in terms of technology and having a phone and stuff like that. Having a smartphone. So along with possession, like with the things that I have in the house, I've tried to simplify other parts of my life, and one of those is technology and also my phone. I didn't like the way that I felt like my iPhone kind of like complicated my life in some ways. Especially with children, I felt like my mind would often be in two places because I would think of things that I needed to do or whatever, and I would put them down on my to-do list, or I'd get distracted like by checking Facebook or whatever. So I would be with the kids, but I'd be thinking about like have my mind half somewhere else because I'd be wanting to kind of check Facebook or read an article that I was halfway through, or whatever. And I didn't like it. I hated the way that I was distracted and kind of trying to do all these things at once, kind of thing. And so a few weeks ago, when I was out, I went and bought myself a dumb phone. So I have an iPhone, the smartphone, and then I went and bought myself a dumb phone, and it's a Samsung, like really basic model that cost like $50, I think. And I just wanted to have a phone that sent text messages and I could make calls on. And it has a different number to my iPhone, which is the phone that I've had for like phone number I've had for like 10 years or something. So I started to use this dumb phone, and I started to leave my iPhone at home, and I really appreciated just being in the moment and not being distracted, and just kind of, not having the option to kind of check my phone and stuff. It was really nice to kind of be present or whatever. And but then other times I remember one time I went to go for lunch, and when I got there I realized I didn't have my iPhone and I didn't have a book or anything. So I was like, oh my God, I've just got to like eat without doing anything else, which is, like you're meant to kind of eat and not be distracted. And so many of us eat while watching TV or reading a book or on our iPhone or whatever. So I was a bit like, oh my God. But then, so I was really enjoying not having my phone in that respect. But in another way, it was really not very practical. It was a lot more complicated not to have my phone, because the iPhone is so efficient at simplifying simplifying certain tasks, or minimizing the things that you need. Because my iPhone, I use, like, if I didn't have an iPhone, I would have to have all these other things to replace the functions that the iPhone can perform. For example, a timer in the kitchen, I like a street map, what else? I'm just gonna have a look and try and remember. I had to go and buy another diary because I have been using my iPhone as a diary, and put to-do lists in there, and then things like what else? A camera, I said maps, a newspaper or a book, and a calendar, a phone, a clock, all these things that the iPhone does really efficiently and into this really small kind of object, which, even you could even have, because I think you can get Kindle for iPhone, so you could even just get rid of all your books in your library or off your bookshelves, and then you just have your phone. Like it's just such an efficient device that I had to go and buy a few more things to kind of replace what the iPhone was doing. And the other issue that I ran into is that everyone has this phone number, and I was I diverted, instead of giving everyone a second phone number, I diverted my calls coming into here into this phone. And so that was okay. It meant that I didn't get text messages that people sent to this phone. But then I kind of figured that a lot of the time, if someone's sending a text message, it's probably not urgent. And I didn't really have any issues concerning someone sending me an urgent text message. Like, I kind of figured if it was urgent, someone would call me rather than text. But the other issue that I have had is this is a terrible phone. This is, I mean, maybe if I'd had this phone like 5 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, it's fine. Like, you know, it's a normal phone. But, you know, it's really hard to use. Like, and especially compared to an iPhone, like, there's so many functions in terms of even just making calls or writing text messages that's so much easier on an iPhone than this phone. Like, the number of times I sent a text message accidentally halfway through, like writing it, like, you know, even like trying to find, if someone did call me, trying to find their number was really hard. Like, especially compared to the iPhone. Like, the iPhone makes so many things so easy. And so you may have noticed that I've been speaking in the past tense because I kind of have gone back to using my iPhone. Like, it just, I don't know, like, but I'm kind of in this like funny, like, nowhere land where there's a lot I don't like about the iPhone, but the iPhone is so good in other ways. Like, you know, I hate the way that the iPhone distracts me, and one of the things about the iPhone is it's so efficient at doing so many things that you feel like you try to do everything at once kind of thing, or you try to do things that in the past, before there were iPhones, you didn't try to do those things if you weren't, you know, at home in front of your computer or with a phone book or whatever. Like, you would just kind of go, well, I can't do that now, I'll do it later. But, you know, with an iPhone, because you can potentially look up the address of a restaurant or whatever, wherever you are, then you do it when you're actually in the middle of doing something else. I hope that makes sense. I know for me, like, I went for a few days without having of using this, maybe a week or so, I think, and of taking this out with me and leaving my iPhone behind. And then I went out with my iPhone, and I started to kind of behave the same way that I did before when I had my iPhone, and I hated it. Like, it reminded me of the way that I would be before, where I would kind of, anytime I thought of something like that I had to do or whatever, I would go, oh gosh, I've got to put that in my to-do list on my phone. I have an app called Toodle-Do, so it's a to-do list app, and it's really good. But like, I had a terrible habit of anything that would pop into my head that I potentially might need to do, I would put it into my Toodle-Do. But you know, then you pick up your phone and you unlock it, and then you might end up on a Facebook page that you were just looking at, and so then you think of, oh yes, I've got to read that, and then you read that, and then you go, what was it I wanted to do again? Oh, I've got to put that thing into my Toodle-Do, and then you look at the Toodle-Do in the to-do list, and then you start to put that in, then you're reminded of all these other things, and so you're going through all these kind of thought processes when you're actually in the middle of doing something else, like, you know, and so your mind is kind of jumping around all the time, when you would probably be a lot better off just kind of being in the moment and remembering later on, like sitting down and going, okay, what are the things I actually need to do? So I have, like, aside from not using my iPhone as much, I do want to say that in terms of keeping a to-do list and stuff, I have really scaled back, because I realized that I was putting all these things on my to-do list that probably weren't actually necessary. I could probably make do without buying that thing or doing this job or whatever. So I have simplified my life in that sense. I'm also trying to kind of simplify my life in terms of not kind of using the phone as much and not buying as many things and whatever. But so just as a footnote to the previous what I was just saying, yeah. So at the moment, I'm kind of back to using my iPhone, but I'm trying to use it less and be more mindful of the way that I'm using it. So if I'm with the kids, I try and keep it in another room so that I'm not kind of distracted by it all the time, because if it's there, I know that I kind of go back into the habit of like, oh, I'll just check my Facebook, or I'll just check my email or whatever. And because the other thing that I have done is I've unsubscribed from a lot of newsletters, and I had unfollowed a few blogs that I was following on Blog Lovin', and same with Facebook. I've unliked a few pages on there just to kind of simplify, to sort of like minimize the amount of information that I was kind of getting bombarded with. But I have noticed that if I have my phone with me, I probably still check it as frequently as I used to, even though I don't have as many emails coming in and stuff. It's still the urge to kind of check and update, and refresh and stuff is still there. But so the best thing for me is to kind of keep it in another room so that I don't get distracted by it. Or if I do check, then it's kind of like all in one go, not a kind of constant checking or whatever. But I'm posting this because it's, as I said, it's not a kind of like I've got all the answers kind of video. It's a this is where I'm at kind of video. And if anyone else feels the same way, or if anyone's thought about it, if anyone has stopped using their iPhone, I know that I think Azandra B sorry sorry, she doesn't have an iPhone. She's got a website, Fashionably Light. Sorry. But I haven't seen much more on that. So if anyone has any more information, this is so annoying. Sorry. I'm gonna finish this video. Okay. So yeah, if anyone has any comments or suggestions or what they've done, then please comment below. Or if this has made you think, then let me know. And hopefully, I don't know. Yeah, I'm in the middle of this process. I don't know how to kind of resolve it, because the iPhone's so useful, but then because it's so useful, it kind of complicates things, even though it simplifies at the same time. I don't know, yeah. Okay, sorry that I had a coughing fit in the middle of this. And yeah, I'll hopefully get another video up next week. Okay, thanks, bye. Things that I needed to do or whatever, and I would put them down on my to-do list, or if I'd get distracted like by checking Facebook or whatever, so I would be with the kids, but I'd be thinking about, like, have my mind half somewhere else, because I'd be wanting to kind of check Facebook or read an article that I was halfway through, or whatever, and I didn't like it. I hated the way that I was distracted and kind of trying to do all these things at once, kind of thing. And so a few weeks ago, when I was out, I went and bought myself a dumb phone. So I have an iPhone. This, one of those is technology, and also my phone. I didn't like the way that I felt like my iPhone kind of like complicated my life in some ways. Like especially with children, I felt like my mind would often be in two places, because I would think of, I'm just going to talk about what I've done to try and simplify my life in terms of technology and having a phone and stuff like that, having a smartphone. Along with possession, like with the things that I have in the house, I've tried to simplify other parts of my life. And Hi everyone, I'm here to make another video about kind of simplification and minimalism or whatever. And so today I'm going to talk about technology and phones. And this isn't a kind of like I have the solution kind of video. It's a